Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Built Different podcast, brought to you by Tucker Speed. This episode, I am joined by Karson Craig, a local dude who's really into bikes. He's got a Dyna. He's built a bunch of old choppers. He does a lot of traveling. We talked about his travels, kind of running around the country on bikes, motorcycle, camping. He also is an MMA fighter and does a lot of training. He's an ex-Marine. So we talked about a little bit of everything. It was a really great conversation with a really solid dude. Had a good time. And just remember, this podcast is brought to you by tuckerspeed.com, your one-stop shop for all performance needs for your Harley-Davidson motorcycles. And before we jump into the episode, please, if you haven't already, go give us a follow and a 5-star review. Just helps us keep this thing growing. I hope you enjoy this episode.
Making power by day, making friends at night. Built different, Tucker Speed. Hell yeah, brother.
So today I am joined by Karson Craig. He's a local motorcycle dude. Done a bunch of cool builds, got some cool choppers, cool Dyna. MMA fighter. Talk some about that. I'm interested to kind of hear the backstory on how one gets into MMA. But yeah, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thanks, man.
It's an early morning podcast. Early morning ones are always weird for me because a lot of times, you know, we can crack the whiskey bottle or have a few beers in the podcast, but
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
it's a little early for me, right? I got to work after this.
Oh,
So coffee it is. But no, thanks for coming out. You work night shift, huh?
yeah, 2:30 to midnight, so this early for
Early
me
morning.
too. Yeah,
That's all right.
it's
But,
all
yeah.
good.
Thanks for jumping on. So I want to talk. Let's just jump into, because I know you have been on a bunch of bike trips not lately, in the past few years,
Yeah,
but like
just traveling,
just running around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just running around. Like last year, I did 13,000 miles on my Dyna. Mostly on the road, going to the coast. Went up to Oregon a couple times. My mom lives in Vegas, so I'll go down to Vegas a few times a year, and then down to Mentone. My uncle lives in Mentone,
Where's that at?
Southern California.
Okay.
So right outside of San Bernardino.
Oh, okay.
And I'll go down there and go fishing with him. And then Born Free last year, and then Four Corners Rally last year. I didn't do it this year. I should have went, but that was when you guys all went. I didn't
we
go.
were.
I went up north to Oregon, and all my buddies went down to Four Corners. I'm like, oh shit. Well, so
How
went up there
was-
for no reason, pretty
yeah.
much.
How was Born Free last year?
It was sweet. I've never been.
Oh, it was your first time?
Yeah, it was my first time. It was cool because you ride down there, which it seems like it's far away from the city because it's kind of like in a remote spot in California, but it's really only like 20 minutes away from the city. And you ride out there, and it's pretty cool, man. There's all these events going on, like the Wall of Death, bike shows, a whole bunch of chopper stuff, and Dyna Bro stuff. It's kind of like a mix of everything.
Yeah, that show's kind of got like almost two faces to it.
Which is cool because I like all bikes. You know,
It is cool that, you know, you get to go see like some really cool, like legit choppers.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I say
then-
I like all bikes, but big wheel baggers, I don't really like big wheel baggers.
And I don't think you're going to find any of those at Born Free either.
Yeah.
But it is crazy, like, because when we were there, it does feel like you're like a long ways from civilization when you're out there. I mean, because you have like no cell service out there and stuff.
Which is cool. Yeah, everyone's just hanging out,
But
partying.
it's crazy that like you're in Southern California and you just take this like 20-minute rip up the canyon, and all of a sudden you have no cell service, just out there, kind of nothing to do but look at motorcycles.
It was fun. That's the kind of stuff I like to do. So me and my buddy Justin, we packed our camping stuff. I just have like a single man tent and a little air mattress that you like backpacking stuff pretty much. Put it in my bags, and we rode out there and stayed at this little camp spot. There's camp spots all over. It was like 15 minutes from Born Free, and it was a pretty cool spot. There's all these huge trees everywhere. it was probably one of the coolest camp spots. Went out there. There's a bunch of people camping off their bikes out there, and then you go to Born Free, and then after like the whole event of Born Free, then you go to Cook's Corners, this famous bar. Have you been there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then they have another chopper show going on there.
Yeah, that's where they have the built well, like People's Choice.
Yeah, People's
show.
Champ. Yeah.
People's Champ. Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
That,
Bunch of chopper dudes. So.
I like the People's Champ idea, like just taking kind of someone that's not a big name chopper builder, not well known, taking dudes out of their garages or whatever, giving them the opportunity to kind of put a bike together and show it off, and then the winner gets, because I think the winner gets to put their bike in Born Free, right?
I'm not sure.
I think that's how it works. Like that's kind of it's like a way they select a bunch of lesser known, I should say, builders, and give them the opportunity to kind of earn their way into the show. And I don't know if it's like the same, like they get to take it from like Cook's Corner to the show, or if it's like you earn a spot next year. I can't remember the details.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
but I think it's kind of a cool idea.
It is pretty cool
because it's hard to get, because Born Free, like the chopper side of things is like it's an invite. Like so to build a chopper and be there, you got to get some recognition and get be pretty well known to get an invitation. So like the People's Champ thing, I think is a cool way to like open it up to.
And they're all sick of seeing the same old chopper, with the Sportster tank and. So the choppers that are making now, like the choppers at the People's Champ last year or this year, there was a bike there that was made out of a helicopter motor or something like that, or
really?
Airplane motor. I can't remember if it was a helicopter or airplane motor.
Yeah, it is.
You're getting pretty wild with it.
It gets crazy. Yeah. I mean, and it kind of has to, because I mean, you can really only build a regular kind of traditional style chopper so many ways, right? Like after it's been done so many times.
It's pretty simple,
And it is. It's such a simple thing. That's kind of the beauty of them.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because if you think about it, it's supposed to stay true to what choppers are. But like if you're building a chopper to put it in a show, you want it to stand out.
And actually be able to, So
it's like, how far do you, and I think that's kind of like how the choppers of like the early 2000s, they started stretching them out way long, and like they started putting 250, series tires, and then it was the 280, and then it was the 300. It's like
those dudes got screwed over so bad.
But then,
trying to resell them, and they're worth nothing.
Yeah, for sure. But it was like just like the evolution of like trying to be the standout at the next show took those bikes to a place that like they were no longer even motorcycles, or they were no longer rideable.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you stay true to like what a chopper is without going down that road?
Yeah.
But it is cool. I think that, the guys in Born Free have done a good job selecting their invited builders.
Yes. Yeah, I just love all motorcycles. I love choppers. I love Dynas. I almost got me a Africa Twin one time just for an adventure bike. My buddy has one.
I want to buy one.
I probably will one day.
Yeah, I will too.
Make some more money. I can't afford 3 motorcycles right now. I mean, I could, but then I'll just be working for my motorcycles.
Yeah. No, I've been eyeballing that Africa Twin, that new Yamaha T7. I've always loved the KTMs.
The BMWs are pretty sweet too.
The BMWs are cool. I always thought the BMWs were a little too street, because like when you look at those bikes, they're a mixed bike. They're an off-road bike. So it's like the blend of like how street are they and how off-road are they? Like the BMWs, like for me, were too much of a highway cruiser and they were a long ways from like say a true off-road bike, like a motocross bike or an enduro bike. It's like how There's like a scale there.
Well, that's the thing with enduro bikes. They're both. So they're not the best on street and they're not the best on dirt.
Right.
They're just like a middleman bike.
Right.
But you say that about the BMW, but I was in Moab one time with Zane and we were up on this crazy rock. He had a built Tacoma. We get up on this crazy rock and we're out there just kind of hanging out, taking pictures, let the dogs out. And this dude comes rolling up on a BMW, full bags and everything. We watched him coming up like, dude, holy shit, these bikes are badass.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even like
Not even trying.
effortless, just coming up. This dude's he rode it all the way from Florida, and he has some business out in Florida that they rent those out and sell them. They have people come over and like, hey, you want to try these bikes? And they have a whole course set up. And then you try the bike out, and that's what sells them. They're like, this bike can do so much. So maybe try one out.
I mean, I've never ridden one. So
I've never ridden one either, but just seeing that dude go up there with that, I was like, damn.
Yeah. I just think that, like, if you're looking at them, like the Africa Twin and that Yamaha T7 have more of an off-road, profile and styling.
Like
to
a
them.
higher clearance and not so bulky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, just like where I used to race motocross and ride a lot of desert racing on like true off-road bikes, they just appeal to me more because they look like that.
Yeah.
So, but they probably give some up on the highway. I think that's the give and take. Like that bike,
middle.
like the Africa Twin might beat the BMW off-road, but then you go want to cruise down the highway at 75 or 80, that BMW is probably way nicer.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it really is just like Harley is like, what are you going to do with the bike?
Yeah.
Like if you're going to buy an enduro bike, are you going to ride 80% on the highway and 20% off-road? Then maybe the BMW is for you.
Yeah.
But if you're going to mostly ride off-road, maybe one of the others. I don't know.
Yeah. And the only thing that makes me kind of want an enduro is camping, you know. But what's kept me from doing that is why not just get a dirt bike? You know, it's way cheaper, and you don't have to do I don't have to put all these bags and stuff on a dirt bike. I could just haul it in my truck and take everything
That's
I need.
the difference, though, right? Like how you get from home to the campsite.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason.
Like the enduro, you can, it's basically like, how much shit can I pack on the bike and then survive for a weekend or a week or, however long you're going for. Or like in your truck, like you could pack.
Dude, I could
fucking
live.
everything.
I could live in my truck. Long bed.
Yeah. So I that's something I still want to do. I talk about it a lot with dudes, like the enduro stuff. I have a couple buddies that have them, and like I want to do like some legit enduro trips at some point in my life when the time is right.
Me too.
But for me, I just got too many other motorcycles and things going on right now to think about that yet.
I've rode dirt bikes pretty much my whole life, and I sold my dirt bike last year or the year before because I just keep getting hurt. Like I'm to the point where I'm good enough to do like pretty much everything that I want to do, but because I'm good enough now, I'm too confident and I think I'm better than I am, and I eat shit.
Yeah.
Like I've blown this shoulder out 3 times wrecking dirt bikes. So I was like, well, I'm doing this business, doing tree work and stuff. I better not injure myself. So I just kind of sold it. I'll probably get another one later, but sold it, built that chopper, finished it in the spring of last year. So so I must
You still have that bike, right?
No, I sold it.
You sold that one?
Yeah, I built it. Wasn't really happy with how I built it, even though it was exactly what I wanted to do. But once I got it all together, I was like, not really liking the 10 over front end. I built it to go far, like a long trip, not just a ride to the bar. I built it from the frame up. I welded all the tabs. I welded all the mounts. I wired everything. I mean, it was full on motor frame build up, everything, except I didn't touch the inside of the motor. I only took the heads off, like repaired the studs and stuff like that. But once I got it all back together, it was all smoking and burning oil. I'm like, dude,
What motor was in it?
It was a 82 shovel head,
Okay.
80 inch. Yeah, I was out of an FXR.
Okay.
I just have
hardtail?
FXR problems. I
Yeah.
built an FXR and that thing blew up on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a hardtail or
Yeah, hardtail. I got a Paco frame built. It was a 4 up, 2 out, and 40-degree rake.
okay.
Yeah. So
Probably had to do that to run that 10 over, huh?
you don't have to, but if you want it to ride better, yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like kicked straight, kicked up real high
Mm-hmm.
where you're wobbling a little bit at
Yeah.
freeway speeds. I didn't want any of that because I'm planning on riding that to Born Free or wherever, to the coast.
But then you just sold it?
Yeah, I
you
just
just-
sold it. I was like, it's not
Just
really.
not into it?
I was like, I kind of want an Evo. I want to build an Evo chopper, so that's what I'm doing right now. I just bought a motor last week, and yeah, once I got the shovel head together, I'm like, well, I was so stoked to ride it and get it together and all this stuff, and I rode it. I'm like, this is cool, and then I hopped on my Dyna with all my performance
Yeah.
stuff on there. I'm like, man, I love riding this thing. This
Yeah.
thing rips, it corners, it hauls ass, it stops when I want it to.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to like compare like a new Dyna or Softail to a chopper.
You're not supposed to.
You really
for
shouldn't
fun.
hop
Yeah.
on one back,
Yeah.
hop on one and then hop on the other because it makes you realize how, I don't want to say shitty they are, but they're just
Shitty.
they're just old, I mean,
Yeah.
and especially if you're talking, a 10 over front end and hardtail, it's just not the same.
No,
Not that they're bad.
it's not bad. It's more of like a tradition thing, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because
An aesthetic, like they're just badass.
they just have a cool factor that like the new bikes, I think, just don't have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like any new Softail, new Dyna, new Bagger, whatever it is. Like you can look at them and it can be a badass build with like all the top of the line parts and, making 150 horsepower or whatever. But it just doesn't have that kind of Americana cool factor
Yeah.
that a chopper has.
Especially if because most choppers, they're cool because someone built it,
Yeah.
like, oh, they modified this to make this. They welded this all together
Yeah.
to make this mount. It's personalized. Where you get a bike, you just throw a bunch of parts on it. It's not
Yeah.
personal. It's
Well,
not
and
unique. There's really not that many unique bikes these days with these
No,
newer bikes because
You could go to any like performance Harley show and walk up and down the bikes, and all the baggers have a lot of the same parts,
Yeah.
look the same in just different colors, and they're all cool and you can appreciate them for what they are. But yeah, the chopper stuff is, I don't know, it's just different.
it's also hard finding good chopper parts and chopper stuff because
Yeah.
there's so many people that don't know how to weld
Yeah.
or any of that, and they're just like, I don't care, I'm just going to put this on a bike because it's cool. And then I'll go try to get up. I'm like, oh, it looks cool on Facebook Marketplace. I'm gonna go look at this part, and it's just like booger welded together,
Yeah.
just sketchy. So, which choppers being sketchy is kind of the way it is anyway. But
Well, and I'm sure it's probably true for you because like you've put a few together now. But like when you see a chopper that's well built and like say it's even been ridden to the show, there's that much more appreciation for what it is,
For sure.
knowing the challenges and the difficulties of doing that.
yeah, for sure.
And that's, I think, where that's why a well-built chopper sets itself apart from everything else is
Yeah.
just the difficulty, the challenges, the ingenuity.
Sketchy choppers are still cool, but yeah, I know what you mean. Like I built mine pretty solid. Like when I was selling it, I had people come and look at it, and they're like, "Dude, I was expecting this to be a chopper, like sketchy, but it's pretty solid. Like your welds are good, everything's solid. Like everything that I could, I rubber mounted. I just made my own rubber mounts for stuff just to make it last, because I found that out the hard way. I had a Sportster chopper that I bought off Cody Weber. You know Cody, he was on here. Cool ass dude. I actually go to him with like a lot of chopper questions because
He knows a lot.
he's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He always helps me out. But I rode his Sportster that he built. I bought from him. Rode that all the way to California and back. It was like a 16 and a half hour ride. And by the time I got back, just vibration, hardtail, anything that's solid mounted and vibration, it's going to fail eventually. So that thing was, my fender was broken. By the time I got back, my fender was broken. My tank was rubbing on something and created a micro fracture that was leaking fuel. So I was leaking fuel the whole way back, all over my
Seems
leg.
safe.
I had to mess with the carb a few times just because it was just getting all messed up. I don't know what was going on, dude, like back then, because I didn't know as much as I know now. But it was a event for sure.
That's part of why you do it, though.
That's
right?
why it's fun. Yeah, I
Yeah.
broke down on that bike a few times. I broke down in the middle of Beaver and Fillmore. The vibration on the battery had ground a hole in the bottom of the battery, like it was rubbing on the battery tray or something for so long, and it leaked out all the acid. So my bike just died in the middle of nowhere. It was like Kanosh, the exit right there.
Oh, yeah.
Kanosh. And I pull over there and I'm looking at it, trying to figure out what's going on, check all my wires, everything's good. Finally find my battery has a hole in it and there's no acid in it. So I was like, okay, well, I had to hitchhike back to Fillmore and got a battery like 10 minutes before they closed, hitchhiked back to my bike, threw it in, hit the road. So that's what it's about, right? Adventures, all these bike trips I go on. There's so many stories now that I have.
Yeah.
Issues and stories, but
They kind of are hand in hand, but
yeah.
the more issues, I mean, they suck at the time, but kind of like that's what makes the trip
Oh, definitely.
memorable.
Yeah.
You know, that's the ones you talk about. Like we always talk about it here. Like if the trip goes smooth, you're not going to remember it in 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be able to be like, yeah, I went there this one time. That's about it. You don't talk about, oh yeah, when I was on my way there, this happened and I had to do this and that. Like that's the ones that create the memories.
Yeah.
But it's
Plus
kind of
you-
like you have to commit to like being okay with your trip being shitty.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
make
that's the
them-
risk you take. High risk, high reward, right? You make it to the event, you ride a chopper all the way down to Born Free, you're like, fuck yeah, I
Yeah.
made it. You know,
Yeah.
all these people trailering their bikes there, you're like, pfft,
Yeah.
you know, and then you fixed it on the road, now you know. Like, you just learned something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, my bike broke down. This is what happened before. I'm going to check that first. Oh, it's not that. Oh, it's this. This happened like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Boom, fix it. So when I first started doing that, I didn't know shit about bikes. And just from going on motorcycle trips and my stuff breaking down and having to troubleshoot it and figure out what's going on, that's how I learned most of my bike stuff besides YouTube, you know, YouTube University.
Yeah. Yeah. So what other trips did you do last year besides Born Free?
So I did my first trip when it started warming up. I did Vegas, California, and then back up. And then I went up to Oregon. No, I didn't do Oregon until, I did Oregon twice. Sorry, tapping the table, my bad. I did Oregon twice. And then I did California again and went fishing with my uncle out there in Lake Paris, Mentone area. And then where else did I go? And then Four Corner Rally. I did that one. That was like the last one, was the Four Corners Rally. Yeah.
That was last summer, right?
That was last summer.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
then-
13,000 miles altogether. That's how much I rode last year. It's hard to even remember. That's all I did. So I built that chopper and I sold it and used that money as just purely for traveling
Just
on my
running
bike.
around?
Yeah, just running around. And that's all.
cool.
That's all I did, pretty much. You know, just got done. I broke up with my girlfriend in the spring, and I'm like, I'm
Perfect timing,
hitting the
right?
road. Let's go. Yeah, that's all I did. It was good. Good road therapy.
What other like big rallies have you been to?
I've never
Besides
been
Born Free,
I've never
or-
been to Sturgis. I've only done Born Free and the Four Corners Rally, and then this year I did last year. Wait, was it this year? Party at the Pen. That was this year.
yeah.
Because you guys were in the Four Corners Rally,
That's where, yeah, that was the same weekend this year.
but that's not really a rally, you know.
No, but it's kind of like
It was a cool little chopper.
I mean, Born Free's not really a rally either. It's a show, if you will.
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
there's a lot of people. So
There's
it's
a lot
hard
of
to
people.
not call it a rally, but it's not technically a rally, I guess.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I guess, you know, like, I mean, Born Free does have vendors and all that. So I guess I don't know what the difference between a show and a rally is. I guess maybe a rally's where it kind of it's spread out across the town, maybe. You know what I mean? I would
Yeah.
consider Four Corners a rally.
Yeah.
And they have stuff happen, and they have like group rides that leave out of the dealership, and they got like vendors at the dealership, and they got stuff going on at the fairgrounds, and they got stuff going on like in years past they had stuff happening up like at the ski resort.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I could see that.
So
where
maybe
Born Free's like central
It's just
location.
like everything
that's
is
it.
happening in
Yeah.
one spot and like not spread out. So maybe that's the difference. But what I don't know shit. What do I know? You know, I've never put on a rally, so I'm not an expert. But
Me neither.
yeah. But
Cool.
Party at the Pan, I mean that's been one like you went, and I know a bunch of our other friends went this year.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of chopper dudes from Ogden.
Yeah.
There. It was pretty cool. You know, like, they had some really sweet bikes, and then just the location's cool because it's in a old penitentiary, the
Yeah.
Boise State Penitentiary.
Yeah, I want to check that one out because, you know, I talked to, you know, our buddy Stitzer. I think he went 2 years ago.
I actually need to hit up Stitzer. I need him to help me weld some stuff, some TIG
Yeah.
weld my exhaust.
Yeah. So he's been, and Byron Diamond, he went. A bunch of other people. I think Cody might go up to that.
He didn't
But-
go this year, but a couple of his buddies went up there.
Yeah.
I saw him up there.
I just heard a lot about it, and it just, you know, it's one that's kind of like on the list. It's just hard to fit all the shows in.
Yeah. Well, it was right when Four Corners
It was the
Rally
same weekend
happening,
as Four Corners this year, so
That's why I didn't go to Four Corners, because I had a buddy. He worked his chopper company is it's Chop City Customs,
Oh, okay.
and he was supposed to be a vendor there. Or he said he was going to do it. He's like, hey, you want to help me set up a tent and like help me be a vendor there? Mm-hmm. And I know him through one of my buddies I was in the Marines with. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'll help you out. And then it just ended up, I canceled all my Airbnb and stuff at Four Corners to go help him out up there. And then he never even went, I don't think, or he never did the vendor thing. So I just went up and
Just
hung out and
Yeah.
then went to the coast. I rode up to Oregon coast after that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was still cool though.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Good excuse to ride and check out cool bikes.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
cool.
It's
I
not
mean-
like the end of the world, right?
Yeah, I mean, Four Corners Rally is going to be there next year too. Mm-hmm. It's fun. Last time I was at Four Corners Rally, I camped out over by the casino over
yeah.
there, their little campground.
Yeah, that's the other place. They got stuff going on at the casino too. So
They had what is it, where they do all the stunts and stuff. The
Yeah, the
brawl.
brawl.
Yeah, the brawl.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was pretty sweet. I was like
Yeah.
right up front right there hanging out with everybody.
that's cool. So is your Dyna like the only modern motorcycle you've ever owned? Has everything else always been like chopper and older? Or have you had
Yeah.
anything else that's like?
Well, I had
that
like
new?
my first bike was a 05 Sportster.
Oh, okay.
And then the next newer bike I had was an 86 Softail. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Where
I wouldn't consider that modern though.
Yeah, I was starting to chop it, and then I'm like, and I sold it and built the FXR.
Still not modern.
Not modern. Yeah, so this bike is definitely the newest
Because
bike.
what year is it? Is it a 16?
It's a 14,
14? Yeah.
103.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, that's totally different. It's even different from that '05 Sportster. Still carb.
First bike, yeah. I mean,
It's fuel injected. It's a Dyna. And we could argue about the Dyna, whether it's good or bad, but
I love my Dyna. I've never had any problems with it, but I'm also not, trying to build the motor and everything. It has a mild cam,
Yeah.
or mild cams in it.
yeah.
So I just wanted to keep it like where it rips, but it also isn't gonna blow up in the middle of
Yeah.
California like my FXR did.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think, you can make a Dyna fast.
Oh, yeah.
You can build the motor all you want, but the Dyna just has its own handling woes. Mm-hmm. You start building the motor and then the chassis just wants to flex and move around and
Shit starts
wobble
vibrating.
Yeah.
I know a guy
Yeah,
built
we
a bike,
we know a guy, right?
Yeah.
Who's dumped tons of money
thousands
into
of
it.
dollars, and then his bike is just, he can't find out where the vibration is, and it drives him nuts. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the Dyna. It's Dyna thing. I mean, and everybody, it's funny because I talk to a lot of dudes who are like diehard Dyna, and then they ride a new M8 Softail and they're like, oh, fuck
get
the
out of here
Dyna.
with this.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I've rode Jordan's Softail. It's nice. It is really nice. And then I rode Justin's new what is the
or his is a lowrider.
Lowrider ST. Yeah. And dude, I couldn't even feel the motor. You know, like I had my headphones in, so I couldn't even hear the motor really either. And it was kind of messing me up on shifting because it's so smooth.
Yeah.
Where every other bike, you know when your revolutions are high,
Yeah.
you know, or just you can feel the revolutions just holding on to your handlebars. So it was hard to get used to. I mean, it's so smooth, it's nice.
It's different. Yeah.
Just
I mean, it
doesn't
does
feel-
take away, I mean, because it's so smooth and so easy to ride, it takes away a little bit of the feeling of riding, you know, especially if you're comparing it to like riding a rigid chopper.
Oh yeah,
Definitely is
Yeah.
far from that.
yeah.
But-
Rigid chopper riding that long distance, man, that shit hurt.
Yeah.
That 16 and a half hour ride from San Bernardino to here on a Sportster. So I had to fill up every,
That thing
it was
had
like
a teeny
60,
tank
70
on it.
miles. I
Yeah.
had a spare tank
Really?
on the back. Just you know, you have
Just
to.
because, yeah.
Because you can't, sometimes you get stuck in like 5 miles away, 10 miles away from the next stop. Yeah, by the time I got home, dude, and I was 25 at the time, so I wasn't old at all, you know, but
Yeah.
I felt like it beat the shit out of me. It did.
Added a couple years by the time you
For
got home.
sure. If I tried to do it now, dude, I'd probably have to pull over and camp on the side of the road.
Piss and blood.
Yeah, need a kidney belt for sure.
That's cool. I mean, speaking of just sticking with trips, like, what do you have planned for next year? Anything?
Yeah, probably the usual. Go up to Oregon, hang out with all my buddies up there, the ride faster pussy dudes.
Okay.
I rode up there and met them through my buddy I was in the Marines with who used to live up there. Cool ass dudes. Like, they're wild, you know. Like,
Really?
when I'm riding with them, they're going like 110, 120 everywhere because there's laws up there in Oregon that, well, I don't know if they changed them, but during the pandemic and stuff, they changed their laws to go like, hey, you can't chase bikes unless you have a squad car for each bike or something like that. So they're just hauling ass everywhere, like in a
Just
group of
getting-
5, just in and out of traffic. And it's fun, you know, but I'm like, hey, next time just send me the address. I'm going to
meet you there.
I'm just going to meet you there, dude. Because like, I don't like to ride like an asshole. Like they're not assholes at all, you know, like they're just having fun.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just a pussy now. I don't want to do that every day, you know, but it's
cool.
fun to go up there and hang out with them. They're
Yeah.
just a bunch of cool ass dudes. They hook me up every time I go up there. They show me some good hospitality and
Right on. So Oregon, where else?
definitely Vegas. My mom lives in Vegas, so I
Okay.
ride down to Vegas. I usually do that in the spring and fall before it's too damn hot. And then California after Vegas too as well. So it's only like 4 hours where my uncle lives from
Okay.
Vegas. And then definitely Four Corners Rally this year and Born Free
Do both of them?
or this next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the camp out. Yeah.
And our camp out.
Yeah. I didn't ride to that. I had to bring the wood.
You were the wood guy.
I was the wood guy.
I mean, partially because you kind of sponsored the camp out, like with your business, the tree care stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you hauled up a truckload of wood for us, which was a lifesaver.
Oh, it sucked, dude. My truck is still kind of messed up from that. Because you know how the mud is at Flaming Gorge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fiasco. That's one of those fiascos that you remember for life
Oh,
now.
for
But
sure.
like, I'm glad it happened because it was cool. Everyone conquered it and went out. But if it was smooth, you know, it was smooth camp out, nothing happened like that, you'd be like, whatever. But that was one of those things where so much crazy shit happened and it worked out too.
Yeah.
That it was pretty cool. Yeah. Had to drive out there with the dump trailer full of wood. On the way out, my truck somehow, I don't know what happened. I remember what happened now. My radiator cap failed. So it was shooting out radiator fluid.
Oh, really?
Coolant.
Like steaming out?
Oh, it just boiled out because my cap wasn't venting. And I made it to Morgan and my truck was overheating and I had no coolant left. So I had to go buy coolant there and get a new cap somewhere. No, I didn't even get a new cap yet because no one had a radiator cap. I had to wait till I get back. So I just had to keep adding coolant to my truck all the way up to Flaming Gorge and just kind of keep an eye on it.
Mm-hmm.
And my truck's the 7.3. It takes like, I want to say like 8 gallons of coolant.
Oh, shit.
Dude, yeah. So I get up there finally. I remember calling Jordan like, hey, dude, I don't know if I'm going to make it. My truck's fucked up. And now he's like, oh, shit, we got to figure it out because I have the wood, you know.
Right.
And I eventually just make it up there. It's raining like crazy. I know how it is at Flaming Gorge.
You got up there early before everybody else.
I tried to
right?
get up there before everyone else so I could go dump the wood, go dump my trailer off at my property up there, and then come back and set up camp. And I get up there and it's raining and it's been raining. And the way the mud is at Flaming Gorge is it's like clay, you know? And I knew that. So I was kind of warning you guys like, hey, this is going to suck.
Yeah.
And I remember driving out there, my truck's sliding. I'm like, dude, bikes are going to they're not going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. It's going to be tough. So I go to try to find the camp spot. And for some reason, the map that I got, the pinpoint location that I got was the wrong peninsula. Like there's the one where everyone's going at was Anvil. And the one I got sent to was like the maps tried to take me on a shortcut. And it took me to a whole nother dirt road peninsula that was like a couple miles south of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was even crazier terrain. It was all these crazy, and I was struggling to get up there. I'm like, I just got to get up there, dump the trailer, I'm good. Well, my truck kept getting stuck. I kept getting out. Somehow, I don't know how I did it. Got out, got stuck again, really stuck this time in a ditch. I have pictures of my truck just like in a ditch, trailer sticking out, and some random dude in a side-by-side and his truck came and pulled me out. Then I dropped the trailer there. I was like, I'm not going to make it. Like, it's too slippery. It's like gorilla snot is what they call it. The locals call it gorilla snot. And so I dropped the trailer, go back to the bar where everyone was meeting, that Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, you guys, like, good luck. I don't think it, like, my truck was completely covered in mud. It was stuck to the underneath. It's still stuck underneath. All on the sides, like you couldn't even see out my windows. It was just, remember that? Mm-hmm. It was crazy. And I remember seeing you guys like, hey, dude, I don't think you guys are going to make it on a bike. Like my 4-wheel drive could barely make it. And you guys were like, I'm going to go check it out anyway.
I stayed at the bar, dude. I stayed at the bar and like Jordan and a group of people like took off.
Yeah. I think it dried out a little bit since then. Like, that little gap from where I was at until you guys decided to go down there, it dried out.
It had
just
stopped
a little bit.
raining at least.
Yeah.
But I mean, the only way we were still able to get down to the camp was, like I said, before, is we weren't making it down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It was too slick.
Yeah.
So we just ended up getting off the side of the road because it was like more sandy, like just off the road and not that clay.
Uh-huh.
So it wasn't slick. It was.
Yeah. I followed you in my truck.
Yeah.
Without the trailer. I dropped the trailer off at where I thought the camp out was, and then followed you in. I remember you guys going off the road and in a line, and you had this bike.
I had my Road King, yeah.
And
which had never even seen a rainy road,
let alone off-roading.
Mud.
Yeah, you were off-roading it,
yeah.
Because there was like that ditch, and who was in front of you that was trying to lead the way, and he had an FXR. I think it was Colton.
It might have been
Colton.
Yeah.
Or Colt. And no, it was Bridger. Colt was ahead of them.
Yeah,
Bridger,
of them.
Bridger been riding dirt bikes his whole life too. Mm-hmm. So he did some wild shit and jumped over this thing, and you before you could even see what he did because you're looking in front of you.
Yeah.
You just bottomed down that ditch, and you looked right at me. I was like, you looked over at me, and your face was like, fuck.
Yeah.
So
well, it sucked because like he bombed through, like he was like a little bit to my left, and like where he went through, there wasn't any water in the bottom. It was just like a ditch.
Uh-huh.
And then like and I was just like, oh, it's not bad. Like he got through it. So I just kept going. And then when I got up to the ditch where I was, there was like a big puddle in the bottom. And it's like, as soon as I dropped into that puddle, like it was like probably 6 inches of water and then like 12 inches of like mud.
I know. I watched it happen.
Dropped right
and you
in.
just looked right at me. Your face.
Like, oh shit.
And then we pushed you out of there. Yeah.
We had to pull my fender off, and
everyone's front fender got pulled off because it was caked in mud. It was clay.
Fun, though.
It was like clay.
Yeah.
Did that mess your bike up at all? That clay?
It's like stained a bunch of it. Like it won't come off.
Yeah.
Like I've cleaned it like 6 times, and like so much of it's just like etched into like the aluminum, and like my seat's still all stained. And, but
I'm kind of glad that I brought my truck, because I would have tried it on my bike for sure, and then have to deal with the same thing. Like I love my bike more than my truck. I love my truck, but it's a work truck.
It's a truck.
Beat the crap out of it.
Yeah.
So, I think we get to the camp spot. I picked Colt up. I was like, hey, you want to come help me with this trailer? So we drive all the way back to my trailer, which is already sketchy, go hook up to it, and we're coming back, and it's mostly downhill stuff and turns. And it was scary, dude. I don't know how we did it. Even Colt, he was like holding on. He's like, we got this shit, dude. We got this shit. We're going to make it. And then we're fishtailing and power sliding down these corners of clay. And there's, dude, if we were, I don't know how we made it. I really don't. Like, I wish I had a GoPro on to show what we just went through. And we made it out of there. And Colt was like, dude, that was insane. I don't know how we made through that shit. I was like, I don't know either, dude. Let's go. Went back. It was already dark. Everyone's kind of hanging out, cold, wet.
Yeah.
And I roll up with the wood and drop the wood. Everyone's like, yeah. So that was it. That was good right there.
The wood saved us because, we had nothing down there. Everybody was soaking wet from riding all day in the rain, and then just muddy. And
just the shit I had to go through to get the wood there. I'm just glad I did it, because I almost bailed just immediately when my truck was, taking a shit.
Well, I'm glad you did, because it would have like legit sucked.
Ruined it. It would have ruined
without fire. Because there's nothing down there to burn.
Everyone's on bikes too. Like, how are you going to pack wood in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really saved the whole weekend having, because I had ordered a porta potty for the weekend, and it never showed up. Like, I think.
Did you get your money back?
I did.
Oh,
I got my money back, but it never showed up. I'm sure if they tried to deliver it,
they probably were like, no, I know
they
these
probably
roads.
looked at the roads and they were like, hell no, and just turned around. So, but at least the wood made it, so at least that helped.
Yeah, it would have sucked not being able to get warm.
Yeah.
I remember seeing dudes that didn't even make it to the camp spot. They pulled over on the side.
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
there's dudes just.
And I dropped wood off to them before I dropped wood off to you guys. They're like, thank you so
probably
much.
saved their lives too.
Yeah.
No, it was cool. But speaking of that, like your tree care business,
Yeah.
how'd you get into that?
So I worked for Trees Inc. It was the first real job I got into outside of the Marine Corps. And I just started as a groundsman.
Was that here local?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trees Inc. They contracted through Rocky Mountain Power. So I was doing line clearance. So I was doing like, how you look at where the power lines are, and there you see a tree that's cut around the power lines.
Yeah.
It looks like shit.
Yeah.
That was what I did. Yeah. But they want you to be an arborist, because they want you to, you don't want to kill a tree.
Oh,
so I got trained by arborists and the best climbers in the world through that company, and only did that for a couple of years, and then I got hired up on the Air Force Base. So I had the skill set and just kind of did it on the side for friends and stuff like that. I just kind of was afraid to start a business because it's scary to start a business. And then last year in February, I was doing tree work for my buddy, and he owns 2 businesses, and he goes, dude, why don't you just start a business? I was like, I don't know. I don't want to pay taxes and stuff. I'm kind of scared to do all that. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just doing it on the side a little bit. I'm not really making it like a thing. And he's like, don't be a pussy, dude. Just do it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You already have all the equipment. All you have to do is get licensed and insured. So that's what I did. Started, and then it's actually worked out a lot better, because now I can advertise. I can do all those things that you can't really do if you're not legit.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, it's been good. I started in February last year, and it grew pretty fast. Now it's kind of winding down because of winter.
Yeah.
Winter months. So
it's like, I mean, you still have a full-time job.
Yeah, I still
working on
work full
base,
time up on the Air Force Base.
but then you're doing this. Like, how many hours in an average week do you put in?
I'd say an average week, maybe 15 to 20 hours.
Okay. So a decent,
Maybe
like
10 to 15 hours. Yeah.
a decent part-time job.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's your own business, like you're probably
It's
doing okay.
easier to work more when it's your own business, right?
Oh, for
You know?
sure.
Like when I first started, I was overworking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not making any time for myself at all. You know, I'm working as much as I can because I'm like, oh, I can, there's so much I can do now. I'm advertising. And because I'm advertising, so many people are hitting me up and I'm not scheduling my time at all for me to be off and just to kind of relax. So I'd wake up at 6 a.m., go do tree work till noon, and then go to work till midnight. I'm like, this ain't gonna. After like a month, I'm like, okay, I better
burn out.
Better chill out. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to burn yourself out.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, I did the same thing in the early years here. I just worked nonstop. I mean, I was dumb enough to do it for like 3 years straight, you know.
Yeah, it's
But-
also not hard labor though, you know. So like, you could probably do it longer without getting burned out.
Worn out. Yeah. Well, and I didn't have a part-time job or sorry, a full-time like paying job. Like this was it. So there was like just the stress of I got to make it work
Yeah,
that kept me grinding for a long time.
yeah,
But then after a while, you're like, man, I really need to just take some time. And I still am not good at it. I still probably don't take enough time for myself. But I mean, the work has gotten a little easier as we've gotten older. But
got more
Yeah.
clientele, got more regulars.
yeah, you know. But it's like it's like we have more regular business. It's more routine. But I got more employees and more people to make sure to take care of. So I mean, it just never ends. But
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna grow KC Tree Care big enough to have like employees on the payroll.
yeah, that's just another. It takes it to another level.
Yeah, it does, because then you got to pay for, you know, workman's comp, and your insurance is a lot more. And my insurance is already hard to get because my job is so dangerous.
dangerous,
It's
yeah.
super dangerous, you know. Which that's why it's such a good paying job. I could make way more money doing tree work than I do up on the Air Force Base. It's just
The inconsistency, is that what it is?
not only the inconsistency, but it's dangerous. You know, like if I got hurt, I'm screwed.
Yeah, especially if it's just
Yeah.
you, right?
Yeah, it's just me.
You get hurt, now what?
Yeah, I mean, I have, I have really good buddies that I work with that are also climbers, and when I get injured training and or fighting or anything like that, then they do everything for me, and we're kind of partners anyway. Like we'll go do tree work together, and he has his own insurance and stuff, so I don't have to put him on like my insurance or payroll or anything like that. But yeah, so
What's one of the sketchiest things that you've ever had happen, like climbing trees?
power lines, yeah,
Really?
they're sketchy. Yes, so.
Because they're all live. Like, they don't turn it off,
No,
right?
no,
Like
you
it's-
can. If you need to, you can call them up and be like, hey, I need to schedule an outing to do this, which they're more than happy to, because it's a lot easier than, you know, dealing with the consequences of you taking down a line or
Yeah.
dying. you
Yeah.
know? So I think the sketchiest thing that I have to deal with is power lines. That's it. And dead trees. Dead trees are sketchy. You have to look at your trees and make sure they're not going to kill you trying to climb them. Like there's trees I turn down all the time in Ogden. They're these giant, you know, those Siberian elms. They're over 6 houses, and they're like 80 years old. Just giant trees, and half of them are like halfway dead. Like, hey, can you take out these limbs that are over my house and my neighbor's house? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Sorry, you know, like you're gonna have to get some heavy equipment for this.
What makes a dead tree so sketchy?
So the wood is brittle. It's hard and brittle. Where a regular tree or a live tree, most of the time you can hinge the wood. You can control it better. You know, you cut it halfway and it kind of hinges down, and then you can make a finish. You could just like control it better, pretty much. Whereas a dead tree is unpredictable.
Because at any point it could just snap
It could just
and go.
pop. That's what it does. So like if you're felling a dead tree and it has no water in it at all, it's just solid and dead, you're cutting it and you're waiting for it to go, you have like all these different techniques to fell a tree, and it'll just pop. It'll just boom, it'll pop, and then it hits the ground and it explodes everywhere. It's just I've felled trees and that are dead, and they hit the ground, and their dead branches shoot like 50, 100 yards after like
Really?
Yeah, crazy. So they're just all around way more hazardous. A lot of people don't even climb dead trees. Just not
Have you ever
worth it.
had anything crazy happen? Like anything hit any sort of like
No,
have a tree hit a structure or a car or anything like that? Like you see all these crazy videos.
You've
but-
taken out a few fences, you
Yeah.
know, but we're pretty good. You know, like we don't do anything.
Is it pretty calculated? Like,
Yeah, it's super calculated.
I mean, because I, you know, I'm probably the dumbass that would be like, oh yeah, I'll just go buy a chainsaw and cut this tree down, and then
yeah, that's like
look
one of the,
because it looks so easy.
that's
you know
one of
what I
the leading causes of male deaths in America is them like on a ladder with a chainsaw in their backyard trying to cut their like accidental deaths.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. People trying to like, oh, I'll do it, honey. Like, I'm not calling the tree guy. They're expensive.
Yeah.
And they get on a ladder and a chainsaw. Ladders and chainsaws don't mix. Don't get on a ladder with a chainsaw because you can't hold onto a chainsaw and your ladder at the same time. And then what do you do when you're falling? You grab, and you're grabbing the trigger of the chainsaw. Dudes kill themselves all the time with their own chainsaws or falling off and stuff like that.
It's crazy.
But yeah, what your question was, I've only really ever taken out fences on accident. You know, I'm like,
Nothing crazy.
it happens, you know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a whole fence. It was like the metal part of a chain link fence, like the top where it comes across, like we bent it or
Yeah.
whatever, you know, stuff like that. But everything's pretty calculated, man. Like we make sure to, well, I do. A lot of dudes just send it, but I like to rig as much as possible, which is just using a rope system.
Ropes to pull in certain directions.
Just to make sure nothing, like everything's controlled. You know, now I'm not trying to pay for a fence or take out a power line or kill somebody.
Because then all of a sudden a profitable
yeah,
job
there's no
is
profit
no
in
longer
that.
profitable.
Yeah, you got you take out the chain link fence, and the customer's sitting there doing the math, like how much do I not have to pay now for my fence? You know, get my fence taken care of. So
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it's cool to see, you know, do you think the tree care thing like just allows you to have like extra spending cash to kind of support the motorcycle habit? Is that kind of
Yeah.
what you use it for?
yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean,
Or just any other habits, you know? What else do you do besides riding motorcycles and fighting? What else are you into? Pretty much
traveling. It's just traveling. Like motorcycles are just for traveling and enjoying life. That's pretty much it. That's why I work. The tree work is to just experience,
Just be able to
life,
do that.
You know? Like, yeah, I'm fighting just for the experience of doing cool shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be, my goal isn't to be in the UFC. You know, my goal isn't to make a career out of fighting. Like, that's just for fun. I'm training with the best dudes in Utah right now. And so I was like, well, I'm training with these guys. They're really good. I'm going to test myself. I've been doing it for so long. My last fight before the fight last week, it was like 7 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That
so
long
it
ago.
was a long layoff, and I was just like, well, I'm gonna see how well
Like, what made you, I guess, get back into it this go around?
because I love training. I've been training at this new gym, One Hit MMA in Layton. Mm-hmm. It's not new; it's just new to me. I've been going there for about 2 years now, and I just love training. Like when I started training there again, I had no intentions of fighting again. I just love training.
Just
it's
training.
Just, it's just good.
Just
for
a
you.
way to stay in shape.
Yeah, it's just a good discipline, you know.
Yeah.
And I've got my buddies in there that fight, and they're like, "Dude, why don't you fight?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't need to fight. You know, I'm good. I don't need to prove anything." And then one day I was just like, why not? Let's try it out. So that was it. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I don't have a goal to be in the UFC or anything like that. I don't think I'm good enough to be in the UFC. And I'm 31. I've kind of missed the window.
Yeah.
So it's just for fun. It's literally just for the experience, just to have fun and
Probably, I mean, I
experience
would
life.
think, I mean, I'm older, and I would think that at least it gives you a way, because the one thing I've struggled with is like trying to stay in shape,
yeah.
you know, and I've just never found anything that has like hooked me to like a gym or working out or training or anything. And so I really still struggle, like just forcing myself to go to the gym on a regular basis because I've never found like a passion for something that gets me to the gym or whatever. So, I mean, I would think it's cool for that because on the flip side, I'm just sitting here just fat and out of shape, you know.
Dude, come train at one hit. Go do some jujitsu.
Well, it's funny because I was just talking to Dave Christensen about jiu-jitsu on one of the last podcasts here. And he's the same age as I am, and he just picked up, you know, jiu-jitsu like just in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd be scared as shit to like walk into a gym and just start doing. I wouldn't even know how to start. Like I've never fought anybody. I've never
There's
trained.
this stigma of people thinking that everyone in a MMA gym is like hard asses. You know, they're just regular dudes. And they're nicer because they're, you know, they have a discipline. They have a martial arts discipline. There's no one in there with a chip on their shoulder. There's no one in there trying to be a tough guy, you know. They get outed pretty fast. If you go into an MMA gym and you think you're hot shit, you're going to get humbled really quick.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the guys that I train with, they're the nicest dudes I've ever known.
Like how would a dude even like get into it? Like if I walked into a jiu-jitsu gym, like how does one even start that? Because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Yeah, that's
like
fine.
I wouldn't even know what to start. Like I wouldn't even know what to wear.
Who does?
Like I'd probably show up there in like Dickies and a.
Nobody knows any of that when they walk in.
I don't know any of that.
Like, no one knows what they're doing when they walk into anywhere new like that. So you just go in there pretty much and leave your ego at the door. Like not that you have one, you know, but you know some guys go in there thinking they have to.
You might have to. You might put on an ego as you walk in there because you think you need it.
Yeah, I mean that's just people that are kind of already scared to have that. You know, they're like, they have a chip on their shoulder. They're like, I got in a bar fight once and I kicked his ass. I'm gonna come in here and let all these guys know that I'm not a pussy. But
that wouldn't be me.
Yeah, I know that wouldn't be you, but you'd be surprised how many people are like that.
Really?
They go into MMA gyms, like they go in there
like
thinking they just go in there thinking that they have to prove something. But that's why you do martial arts, right? Because you get humbled every day. You're like, man, I don't know shit. And then next thing you know, you're good at it. You know, you've been showing up, you've been putting in the work, and you're starting to learn a martial art, and that's what hooks you. You're like, man, this is actually really fun. It makes me feel good mentally. I have a discipline. Like, yeah, my body hurts sometimes, but it's worth it. You know, I'm not gonna sit on my ass and kind of mentally just be lazy. You know, I want to do stuff. I'm always doing stuff. So if you have a good discipline like a martial art, I think everyone should learn a martial art, like not to fight, but just to have a good discipline is good for you.
I've heard that a lot. You know, the discipline is probably the biggest factor in it. You know, when on like your normal training, even like when you're not training for a fight, like when you're going to the gym, how much of that training is like, say, lifting weights or like cardio stuff like on a stationary bike versus like just like sparring on a mat?
It's all like what you want to do. I love going to the gym too, like the actual like weight training gym. So I balance it out. Where when I first started training at the MMA gym, my coach was like, dude, you're too big. Like you need to stop lifting so much weights because you lose flexibility, agility, all that stuff. And I'm sitting there trying to spar. I look like a robot, you know, little meathead. So I lost probably 15, 20 pounds of muscle when I first started training. Cause like, yeah, there's dudes that have a lot of muscle that can train, but I don't want to be, I'd rather have agility and flexibility versus size. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm not built to be a bodybuilder. So my normal routine is like I'll do morning classes because I work nights. So I'll go in there at like 10:30 on jiu-jitsu days and 11 o'clock on kickboxing or sparring days and just train for an hour and a half. And then when I'll go on my lunch break at work and go lift weights, but I don't ever lift heavy. You know, I'm not a bodybuilder. So I'll lift
trying to build muscle, but just stay
like,
toned.
like just staying strong.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty comfortable with like my weight where I'm at now. I just feel like it's my normal size.
Good natural weight.
Natural weight. So I'm not in the gym trying to get massive, except my legs. I want like tree trunk legs.
Yeah.
Eventually, so I would destroy my legs, but yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. I just balance it out. I'll take a couple. I'll rest usually on the weekends.
Okay.
You know, but then again, I'm doing tree work, and that's hard.
Climbing
Physical
trees.
labor.
Yeah.
That's hard labor. Picking up,
Moving
limbs,
stuff
moving
around.
shit around. Climbing is all core exercises. So I guess I don't really. I just
Ever
do
have a
yeah.
rest day?
I just like just constant. So
How'd you get into fighting or training like that? Like back in the day, like what got you into it? Because I know you said you
man.
were a Marine.
yeah.
Right, I knew that, but like, was that part of it, or like, what got you into training?
Yes. So the Marine Corps, that's why I got into MMA, because I thought I was the shit because I was a Marine. I get out of the Marines, I'm
All
like,
Marines do, right?
oh yeah, I had this ego.
Yeah.
So I step into an MMA gym and I'm like, man, I don't know anything.
No offense to any Marines out there. I don't need to get
I can
my
talk
ass
shit.
kicked.
I'm a Marine. Don't get me wrong. There's badass Marines, you know, but like even a Marine will let you know most Marines think that they're cooler than they really are, you know?
Yeah.
And the ones that actually have seen combat and done cool ass shit, they don't act like that.
Yeah.
The ones I've met,
Yeah.
you know, they're chill. They're just regular dudes. They're not going to let you know they're a Marine, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas the ones I'm talking about, they get out of the Marines, they're like, they bring it up in every conversation. By
Right.
the way, when I was in the Marines, you know, like, all right, dude. So that's what got me into MMA, because I was like, man, I just want to fight somebody. And then I go into MMA gym and got what I asked for, you know,
Got your ass kicked?
get beat up. I mean, I didn't get beat up immediately because that's not how it works, but I just
They kind of
realized
let you know that.
I just realized that I'm not shit. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, like I thought
They kind
I
of
was,
humbled you a little bit.
definitely. I get humbled every time I go in there and train. You know, I'm 180 pounds, and I have dudes doing jiu-jitsu that are like 120 that fold me up like nothing. Like it doesn't matter. There's nothing I can do to them on the, you know, in the jiu-jitsu world. So that's the kind of thing that's like, okay, like you're not, like there's no reason to be thinking that you're tough shit, because there's
Yeah.
always someone out there that
That's
I don't know.
tougher.
Yeah, and that's why martial arts is good, because it puts you in your place. You don't have and then I could relax after that. You know, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. I'm not trying to go get in a bar fight. I'm the last person that'll get in a bar fight.
Yeah.
You know? I'm pretty good at de-escalating shit. Did security for a while too. I was good at de-escalating fights. I never got in fights really. A few, but like that's not me. Whereas coming out of the Marine Corps, I couldn't wait to get in a bar fight. You know?
Really?
That's like, yeah, I'm like, oh, I just love fighting. I want to get in a fight, and that's not good. No one
It's
wants
not healthy, right?
well, no one wants to hang out with somebody like that either.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go to a bar with someone who's looking for a fight. Chill out, dude.
Just a liability, right?
Everyone just wants to hang out and have a good time.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. Another good reason for martial arts.
Tell me a little bit about your Marine career. I'm just curious because I like to hear, and I think a lot of listeners, I think, can relate. We have a lot of listeners that are ex-military,
Yeah.
and I'm not an ex. You know, I never did anything with that. Just curious.
Uneventful. I didn't deploy. We were in the Pacific, so I was in 4th Marines, 3rd Marine Division. Our unit was attached. Like, we're supposed to be like a unit that attaches to infantry. We were an infantry unit. We were communications. So I was a radio operator. And like we went to South Korea and did like an operation there, but it was just, I mean, it was kind of cool. It was during the whole when North Korea was launching that missile, and everything's getting kind of crazy. You know, oh shit. We went out there with 2 infantry units and a recon unit, and we were the communications for those units. And we set up all the, like, what's called the ant hill, which is the communications antenna, all that stuff. And we're not on the front, we're on the back because we're communications. So we were in Pohang, and it was like an operation for just like training, but it was also like if shit hits the fan, we're here type thing.
Okay.
But nothing ever happened, you know. So it was just an operation, and like that missile went into the ocean, didn't go anywhere, the one they launched. So we just packed it up and left. It was kind of cool though. when we were supposed to stay a little bit longer, but we actually got all of our tents and everything blown away in a storm.
Oh, really?
Dude, it was nuts. So
Like a hurricane or something?
It seemed like it. We were up on this hill in the mountains, and it's windier up on top of a mountain. And I was on the night shift, so I'm sleeping, and I get woken up by Marines like, "Come help! The anthill's getting blown away." Like, oh shit! We run up there, and there's all these Marines holding on to the tents, trying to keep the wind from going, and tents are flying everywhere. And there's probably like 8 Marines on each side of this giant tent holding it down. These like big canvas tents. It was our our communications center, our comm center, and it's like where all the higher ups are sitting in there and doing all the whatever. And there's all these Marines holding on to it on the outside, and then all of a sudden this wind gust comes in and takes it. And these Marines are still holding on to this shit, and they're getting flown away. Dude, these dudes are like at 30 feet in the air holding on to this tent, flying away. And I'm laughing my ass off. I'm supposed to be taking it serious, but I'm like, dude, like how the... And then I see my master gunnery sergeant just sitting in the middle on his laptop, unfazed. His whole tent flew away, and he's just sitting in the middle typing away like, I don't give a shit. Like, this dude's been through so much shit probably that this is nothing.
Just another
this
day.
is nothing to him.
Another day in the office.
Unfazed, yeah. And I'm laughing my ass off. I have sergeants yelling at me like, quit fucking laughing, go get this shit. And, and I couldn't take it serious at that time. It was just funny on that. I
just always like to hear military stories because I don't know, a little bit fascinated by them.
Yeah.
Some stories are, I don't know. I think they're all cool.
Yeah.
But it's just like a foreign thing to me because my family wasn't really military. I didn't grow up in it or around it a lot. So it's just crazy to hear.
But it was good. I met, some
Would
of
you
my
do it
best
again?
friends. Would I do it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just hope that I went to a different unit.
Really?
It was definitely one of those things that I needed growing up, is to like that foundation, you know? Like becoming a man. I turned 19 in boot camp. It's one of those things that I think
It's like your coming of age story.
it's like there's so much in the Marines that is good. There's traditions, there's brotherhood, there's training, there's all this amazing shit in the Marine Corps. There's dudes that I call my brothers that I've only known for a little bit, but you go through these hardships together with these dudes and
do you
create
think
those.
Yeah. Do you think it's changed or shaped like who you are and how you approach life now because of it?
Yeah, definfinly. Like
not 100%, but just like it's had a big effect on you, right?
Yeah, it set the foundation for my life pretty much. Because without the Marine Corps, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. I actually joined the Marines because I was getting into a bunch of trouble, When I was 18, 17, I actually got kicked out of my house when I was 17 for fighting with my stepdad. It was just like a shitty situation, My mom was married to this dude who was a dickhead, and we didn't like each other. And he pretty much told her to choose between me or him. And I just left because I just graduated high school and shit. I graduated at 17, so I just left. And I was like, I'm not going to make my mom make this decision. And I was working at Arctic Circle and living in my car and like rotating through my buddies' houses to like stay and like shower and stuff, where they didn't know I was like technically homeless, But I was just
kind of move around.
Yeah, just rotating around. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do the male equivalent of joining or becoming a stripper, I'm going to join the military. So, because that's, it's like the same thing. Women that like last resort, I'm going to be a stripper, right?
Yeah.
So dudes last resort, I have nothing going on for me, I'm going to join the military. Kind of, it's a joke, but, so I tried joining the Air Force because my whole family pretty much was Air Force.
Okay.
My grandpa, he was in the Air Force. He got out of the Air Force, and then he worked up on the Air Force base till he retired. So it was, in my family already, I'm going to join the Air Force. So I go into the Air Force recruiting station, and they were like, we don't want you. You got in too many fights in high school. And the way they said it is like, the military doesn't want you. I'm like, oh, shit, dude. Now what am I going to do?
Everybody knows.
Yeah, so I walk out of there, and they're all lined up. Like the recruiter stations are like all attached to each other. And I walk out, and I was kind of having like a breakdown in the parking lot. I was like, fuck, what am I going to do now? You know, like kind of talking out loud. And there's a Marine recruiter outside smoking a cigarette in the shadows. And he's all, what's up? What's wrong? I was like, I can't join the military. He goes, why not? I was like, I got in too many fights. He goes, come on in. We like your kind. So that was it. That's why I joined the Marines. I didn't even think about joining the Marines. I just wanted to, you know, do aircraft stuff, which is what I'm doing now. So it worked out, you know, but that's it. That's the way I got into the military.
That's cool. Well, like I said, I mean, we got a couple of guys here that are ex-military, and you know, their stories, and everybody. I know a lot of people, and I just think they're cool stories.
Yeah.
To hear how they got into it, what they did while they were in, their experiences. So it's just cool to hear. So
I made some of the best friends, like Zane. I met Zane in the Marine Corps. We met in Korea. You know Zane.
Yeah.
Met him in the Marine Corps. Best friends. He's been my best friend since then, and that was 10 years ago. So, and he moved out here because of me. You know, I flew to Oklahoma and helped him move his shit out here. But
no, that's cool. And yeah, I mean, I think that tells you enough. Like Zane moved out here for no other reason than because it's where you're from, right? Because you're from here originally, right?
Yeah, I grew up here, born and raised.
Yeah.
Born in Layton, mostly lived in Roy. That's where I live now. Moved around a bunch, but I wouldn't say he came out just for me. I'm just like, I was helping him get here. Like he wanted to get out of Oklahoma.
He just needed somewhere to go.
He needed to get out.
I mean, he came here because you were here and you were someone he trusted.
Yeah,
so
we were roommates. We were roommates for a while, so it was easy to transition out here when you got someone that
it's
can help
not like he
you
moved
out.
out here because he was your boyfriend or nothing, right?
Yeah.
Nothing like that going on. No, just because, you know, he needed somewhere to go. And this was a good place because there was a trusted friend here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm glad he's out here, man. But
yeah, and he's a good dude.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
He's a solid dude.
And he started out here, got up on base as a expediter, which is like the lowest job you can get on base. You know, it's like a WG7, and you're making, I don't know how much they made back then, but he climbed the ladder so fast. Now he's a work lead in the GS side doing logistics, all this crazy stuff on computers, and he's killing it. So
that's cool.
I'm proud of him for coming out here and doing that.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, if anybody wants to kind of follow you out there.
Oh, on like road trips?
Yeah, just whatever you're doing. Road trips, fighting, training, like where can people find you?
I guess Instagram. I don't really post that much on there anymore.
Not that you're trying to be like a public figure
I'm not trying
or anything,
to be
but maybe you'll find a new friend through this podcast or something.
Lucy Coosey, that's my Instagram.
Okay.
That's my nickname, not nickname, but I got that. Coos was my nickname in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Yeah, all my buddies call me Coos in the Marine Corps. And my high school buddies call me Coos too. Kind of followed me.
Okay.
So, yeah, Lucy Coosey though, I was actually riding dirt bikes out in the Knolls, and my buddy and me we got up early in the morning to go ride out there, and it was like 10 o'clock, and we just crack open some beers, and he's like, "Why are you drinking a beer before you ride?" And I'm like, "Just drink like one beer, you know, get a little loose. You don't want to be stiff on the bike." He goes, and I was like, "Get a little loosey goosey," and he goes, "Huh, loosey coosey." I was like, "Oh, all right, that's it right there." So that's the Instagram handle, loosey coosey.
Sweet. Well, if anybody wants to follow along and you know, see what you're doing on the bike, see what you're doing in training or whatever, just follow you there, huh?
Building an Evo chopper now. I'm not fighting for a little while because I hurt my shoulder.
I was going to ask you, I mean, do you have any fights upcoming or plans to fight again?
Yeah, I plan to fight again, but I'm going to wait till I'm all healed
100%.
up. Yeah. Like I went into that fight a little injured and sick.
I mean, you still won.
Yeah, I still won, but that's why I was like really shooting for the first round finish because I had
you knew you weren't going to last.
I had like half the lung capacity that I normally have because I had an upper respiratory infection.
Okay.
So
you kind of like you had to go into it just like guns blazing from the get go.
Not really guns blazing, but like you have to pace yourself or you'll
just gas out.
So I went in there just looking for the finish. Like I'm gonna take this. Well, okay, I'll walk you through a little bit of the fight.
All right.
So I already knew that this dude was going to be a good striker. He's 6'2", and he's got a long reach. And from what I heard, he didn't have that much jiu-jitsu training and stuff like that and wrestling. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stand and strike with this dude, see what his striking's like. And then I'm going to take him down. If his striking's good, I'm going to take him down and just use my jiu-jitsu on him. Mm-hmm. And that was the game plan from the start. I come out of the fight. Actually, the game plan also was to destroy his front leg first, so he can't move around a lot, because tall dudes and lanky dudes, they like to jump in and out of your range and strike you and then get out of your range, you know, and you have to just, it's frustrating. So I'm like, I'm going to destroy his front leg so he can't be hopping around and kind of slow him down a little bit. Opening round, give him 2 solid calf kicks. I mean, I know his calf is still hurting today because those hurt. Mine still hurts from his calf kick.
Really?
Yeah. So he calf kicked me back twice, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not playing. I was like, I'm not playing this game, dude. So I immediately go to take him down, and he head kicks me, but it was like right when I ducked, and it just glanced off the top of my head, luckily, and he threw the best head kick. It was like a switch left head kick. I'm like, okay, I'm not standing with this dude and striking because he might hurt me.
He's going to land one?
Yeah, so I wrestled him down. He held onto a choke that wasn't really there. So I just kind of waited for his arm to gas out. Got the takedown again. Had him against the cage. Once I started hitting him in the body, he was like, ugh, like making these noises because I just destroyed his ribs. Took him down, started doing the ground and pound. He turned his back. I got the choke. That was kind of the game plan in the first place with him. So, yeah. I mean, I wanted to get the finish with the punches, but there was only 10 seconds left in the round. I was like, well, I'll choke him because he ain't going to last 10 seconds with a rear naked choke. Mm-hmm. So that was it.
First round.
First round finish, yeah.
But right at the end of the round then.
Yeah, there was 10 seconds left. And people were like, do you think he could have lasted till the round? And I'm like, no, they'd be picking him up off the ground because like that rear naked choke was so deep and I was squeezing so hard I could feel his neck popping. Like his whole neck was like popping, and he was going out because when he was tapping, he was like tapping all light. Like there. He was there. Yeah, he was going out right when they stopped it. So good job on the ref.
Yeah, cool.
But, yeah,
that's crazy. I couldn't imagine getting in a cage like that.
Dude, it's scary. I mean, that's why I do it. I like the adrenaline rush of stuff. You know,
can't imagine.
If you say you're not scared, you're lying. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
You think even the top dogs?
Oh yeah,
UFC dudes.
It's not as bad because they do it so many times.
Yeah.
But every time you fight, your competition's harder. If you think about it, like
you're always kind of trying to go up the ladder.
You are going up the ladder usually. So like, I'm on a 2-fight win streak right now. The next 2 I fight is definitely going to have a winning record. They're not going to hand me anyone that, you know, they shouldn't. I would hope not.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to really accept a easy fight. So like once you start climbing up the ladder, you're also fighting dudes that are climbing up the ladder. Mm-hmm. So if you think about it, every fight you do should be the hardest fight you've fought. Should be.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Well, and just like you were saying, like you had kind of done a little bit of homework on that dude. That dude's doing homework on you, like finding out what your weakness is. I mean,
yeah.
But you don't know what he's going to do when you get in the ring.
No idea. I knew he came out to some like anime music. I'm like, this dude's going to do some wild spinny shit on me. That's exactly what I thought going into the cage. I could hear his music going. It's like some, anime, whatever, like probably for some anime show, like the background, whatever. And I'm like, this dude's going to head kick me. I already know it. And he did. So
it's crazy. Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, no problem. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I feel like I just talked the whole time. Is that coffee? Just cracked out on coffee.
Early morning, yeah. I guess the early morning podcasts are good. Just pound the coffee and go for it.
Yeah.
Right on. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate it.